Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. So let's jump right into it. Today we're going to be doing NHL trade rumors, news, and notes from around the NHL. Well, only a couple of teams specifically. So the Florida Panthers, a little bit of, concerning news, I guess. You have Tkachuk, who is out 1 week with an illness. I tried to look into what it is, but I couldn't necessarily find too much on it. I guess he's just out a week, which is pretty interesting. He must be pretty sick, I suppose. In the article that I read about this, it just said that he was just sick and he's out a week. So he must have something that's pretty serious. So to hold out a hockey player for a week, he must be really sick. Now the Florida Panthers in general they're already like 1-2. They lost to the Buffalo Sabres. And by the way, I picked the Florida Panthers in my hockey pool and they lost to the Buffalo Sabres. Like, bro, what? How is that even possible? But anyways, they already got Barkov out. Now, I thought that Barkov injury was going to be much worse. He's only out 2 to 3 weeks, which is actually like really good. Because I thought that was going to be way worse. So, it's interesting. If you look at the Edmonton Oilers, 0-3, you look at the Panthers, they're 1-2, 1-3. They haven't had a good start either. So the Stanley Cup hangover is a real thing, at least when players go all the way to the Cup Finals. They do seem to have a difficult start. So obviously getting extra rest for teams does make a difference. Because I don't know what's going to happen with Edmonton. I still think Edmonton will get it together, and Florida. I mean, they're two good hockey teams, so I can't imagine they'll miss the playoffs. I mean, Edmonton's got 2 superstars, and Florida's just an unbelievable team, so whatever. I'm sure they'll be fine, but it is what it is. Barkov is an unbelievable player, though. Like, he's a little bit, I would say, underrated. Like, he's just this really strong two-way, big centerman presence that every team loves to have. So anyways, hopefully he'll be fine. So on to the Maple Leafs. Now, there have been a ton of trade talk going on around Timothy Liljegren. I don't know if you guys saw him getting his name called. I tried to find a photo of it, but I really couldn't. When they were calling his name in intros for the Maple Leafs and their season opener, and I was like, bro, he looks like he's about to cry. I was like, just ship this guy off to Anaheim or something. Like, you almost feel bad for him a little bit. But hey, listen, he is definitely getting traded. Like, the Leafs, even now, Elliot Friedman is talking that the Leafs are trying to ship him out because this guy is making $3 million, and obviously the Leafs are trying to manage an asset here, which I fully understand. You should be managing your assets properly, but this is a difficult one because it's going to be difficult to trade him, no doubt about it. Like, I really don't want the Leafs to have to give up an asset because they're going to need that second-round pick. They have a second-round pick this year, and they're going to need that second-round pick for trade value around the trade deadline. This is going to be a huge trade deadline for Toronto. So you need some assets to be able to entice a team to give you like a third-line center. I don't know if they could manage to get something for Timothy Liljegren. I've been kind of thinking about different trades around and what you could get. Perhaps you could make it a bigger deal where they could move some salary around and they could add that second-round pick in to possibly get a centerman. Maybe they could add something to get a player like a Yanni Gourde earlier on in the season. I don't know. I do feel bad for Liljegren, though. I will say this, but he is definitely on the move. No doubt about it. Even when you look at David Kampf, they're using Pontus Holmberg a lot, too. So I don't understand the point of having David Kampf if you're not going to use him. That was kind of confusing to me as well, because they were using Pontus Holmberg on the penalty kill, and that's typically where David Kampf is, right? But it's good to see Liljegren back in the lineup, just because he obviously looked pretty pissed. So I hope they can get something out of that asset. I don't know about you guys. You guys can drop your opinions about Timothy Liljegren in the comments below. Every time I watch him play, he's the most, I don't know what you would call it. It's almost like he doesn't really do anything on the ice. Like, he's just the most like empty calorie player you've ever seen in your life. So I'm really, really hoping. Like, I remember when they drafted Liljegren, I was like, oh my god, this guy is going to be so good. He's going to, at the very least, be a top 4 defenseman, if not a top pair defenseman. And it looks like a lot of the teams that passed on him were actually right, because he has just not fulfilled his potential. And it's such a shame to see the Leafs spend a second-round pick, believe it was 17th overall, just for a player that has not worked out. So, obviously, it's unfortunate. Okay, so now let's go over to the Edmonton Oilers, because, man, their start has been spicy, and it is literally last year all over again. Like, the Oilers are doing the same thing that they did last year. Like, dude, you can't necessarily say it's a Stanley Cup hangover. I'm not sure. Like, you could make that argument, and I do believe in a Stanley Cup hangover. But at the same time, I'm sitting here being like, dude, they did the same thing last year, where they just seem to have a history of, like, really, 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 really tough starts. And you see this situation this year. I mean, the last year they fired their head coach, and now you have Knobloch, who is on the hot seat again. You could say, okay, it's only 0-3, it's only 0-3, and they'll get it together and this and that. And I think Edmonton will still make the playoffs. You got the Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers that have not started off very well. That's true, but 0-3 is not good. And in this article, the Athletic reporter is talking about that they might need a coaching change. And honestly, it's really, really, really unfortunate for him, because, I mean, this guy, I mean, even if it doesn't happen, which honestly, in my opinion, I don't think they should do anything, because it's not his fault that his players aren't listening to him and are just sucking. Some of these defensive plays by the Edmonton Oilers, especially McDavid, have just been horrendous. We're not talking about just, bad. We're talking about horrible plays. I mean, really just unacceptable plays for an NHL team to be doing, right? Like that Anderson goal. Like, I don't know if you guys saw that Anderson goal. We're talking horrendous defense by the entire Edmonton Oiler, like especially McDavid, like right in the slot there. I was like, it was a good looking goal, but it was just really, really bad defense. So obviously I'm hoping the Edmonton Oilers can get it together. They have a history of being pretty good in the playoffs. So, I mean, it would be nice for them to get it together. Anyways, I am going to leave this video here. If you could like, comment, and subscribe, I would appreciate it. Tell me why I'm wrong and tell me why I'm right. And make sure to have a great day, guys. Goodbye.